Hello, more Elan assembly video. This time we'll be focusing on the interior. A couple of interesting little brackets here that fix onto the body. Hopefully you can see it's got a little joggle and it fits over the top edge of the like the weather seal around the door. You can see the holes that are going to match up. There's one either side, obviously quite handmade, because when you compare the two they're quite different size. Holes are in different places. Anyway, I'll fit it in place. I've put a bit of contact adhesive on the body and just on there just to hold it in place, and I've got some little screws that just fixes in with what look like wood screws. So let's see how we go. So I'm only screwing it up gently because I don't want to rip the threads out of the fiberglass. It's just screwing into the fiberglass. It is pretty thick at that point. So this is completely covered in the final assembly. I think that hole, well, not quite certain, it might have like a threaded fitting. There's an aluminium strip runs around the top, and I think that's where it starts. We'll find out later. And then this has I've seen a lot of where they just have a plasticky rubbery covering that runs up. So I'll just show it from the other side. Okay, and do the same at the other side. Okay, done. Just show that from the other side. You can see I've got all these pieces cut now. This one's still got the rubber cover on it because the original piece came out with the underfelt bonded to it, and I don't want to peel it off because I don't want to damage this. But all the other pieces are new. There's some parts at the front which are still original, which I haven't pulled out because they were perfectly good. But I got this set of cut pieces from Sue Miller. She supplies one piece for the back, which I had to cut myself because I think they're oddly shaped bits. So anyway, I'll pull them all out because they're not glued in yet, and I'll take individual images of them so you can see the different shapes. Oh, and also now I've got this rubber bung in place, which fills the hole. That gives you access to the prop shaft universal joint. So bought a new one of those, also from Sue Miller. So that's the front floor. That's the bit that goes on the side of the tunnel at the front. This is the driver's side. Passenger side is the mirror of that. That's the piece that goes underneath the seats. That's the top of the tunnel around the gear lever. That's the top of the tunnel. That's the bit that covers the back. It's still got the rubber matting on it. You can see the shape. I'll just show these other bits in the car because they're maybe not quite so obvious what's going on. So that's the bit that goes around the rear corner. Same at this side. This side I've made a couple of little fill-in pieces. I was copying the originals that came out, so those fill-in bits will just make it a bit better. But basically you can see that shape. I cut an extra bit out of the bottom. So it comes up and this goes around the bolt at the top. And then down here there's a piece of millboard which covers the battery hole on this side. So that just gets glued in with the underfelt. And that was the original piece that came out of the car. It was still glued to the other bits. And then there's a tiny bit up here which fills in a bigger recess. So that goes in, takes it up to that level, and then the other piece comes up and brings it up to this level. The other part comes around, so that bit doesn't get any underfelt, and this doesn't get any underfelt. So eventually that rubber mat just goes across the other piece that's down there. You'll see that when that goes back in. There's no underfelt piece for this side or the other side. In this car the rubber mat gets glued to it, so if you want to get access to that you're going to have to pull the rubber mat out. And on the other side, very similar, but the battery's on the other side. So that bit's shorter, stops just above the battery box. And then again you've got that little piece filling in around the top bolt. And the cables, I've run a cable through the speaker. I haven't got an aerial speaker yet. I'll run that through as well. And then those parts will glue onto them. And then in the driver's side, right hand side, footwell in this car, there's a piece that goes on this end here. It should extend up there, but I've cut it and left the original bit in up there. It's got one of the positions where the pop stud's going to go, so I just cut that piece off, don't need it. And then there's a piece that goes in that space at the side. This has got the original mat still in place, so I've left it in because all of that's good. So that piece extends right up to the top, and there's a piece that comes around this side. Again, I've left the original in because it was fine, and there's a piece that's glued to the underside of this. Again, I've left this in on mine because it was fine. Same idea at the other side. There are also pieces that run underneath the heater box and one behind the air inlet box, which is really difficult to see now. You could see it on earlier videos. So there's pieces that run that I've already put in underneath those parts. I've fitted these little door switches, which I can get the light in a decent place. It's a little pin that gets pressed by the door when the door closes. It's pretty basic. I go to the inside. Hopefully you can see this. I move it from the outside. That's how it works. Simple. Just makes and breaks the contact. Been having a go at cleaning these rubber mats. These I haven't touched these at all. These are before I've cleaned them, and discovered quite an interesting product. Because after I've scrubbed them clean, they're still quite marked. So I've tried using this. I have no association with this company, just to make that clear. It's called, light's catching it, Armour All tyre foam. You squirt it on and you don't scrub or anything. So I'll just have a quick go. Can have a venture outside. This is a bit of a change, isn't it, for these videos? So we'll just have a go with it. This is the back piece that goes around the back of the cockpit, and this is the piece from the rear floor behind the seats. So I'll just have a go with this foam, just shaking it on, just to give you an idea what this is like before we use it. You can see there's some definite rust marks across it. Not too worried about the bottom ones because they're going to be under the seat runners. And then it's just sort of a bit scruffy generally. So what we do, spray it on. So, sprayed it on, leave it for 10 minutes. Have a go at the other one as well. Again, you can see there's marks, patches. It's a big area there that's a bit discoloured. This is after I've scrubbed it. Okay, so we'll come back and have a look in a bit. Look at how it's getting on. You can definitely see where it's yellowy colour here compared with whiter here. So it's definitely lifting the muck out somehow. It says not to scrub it or do anything, so I'm tempted to just help it on its way, but oh, and I think the other thing is it wants to be quite vertical, so it runs down. So look at the other one. Okay, so that's how it's getting on at the moment. So here's the results of cleaning the mats up with that spray foam. I've actually glued the underfelt and the mats into the car now. So here they are in the car. It's pretty good. You can still pick out some slight discoloration, sort of shining a light around to try and catch the look of it. So you can see it's done a pretty good job, I think. That's the battery box sitting in place. It's not fixed yet, but it just covers where the battery sits. Got the cable that runs to the solenoid, which is the negative in this case because I'm going to have a positive earth, and there's the earth braid which fixes to the chassis down here. So you see that? So I haven't fixed it through yet, but that goes down onto the chassis there. This is where this mat was all rotten. I guess battery had probably leaked or something. That's the footwell. You can see that mat's torn. I will put another mat on top of it, I'm sure. Still got to do the panels around the side. So yeah, glued all that in place, and I am happy with it. Okay, those rusty bits will get hidden when I fit the seats. Yeah, pretty pleased. I've put that speaker grill in place, which was the original. It's a little bit rusty, but I think generally it'll be okay. And this is where the seat belts mounts are going to be. You can see witness where some old brackets were slightly discoloured. Looks worse on the camera actually than it does in reality. So the seat belts will get fixed there. Just another comment about the result with the tyre foam cleaning up these rubber mats. It has left behind some sort of residue. Feels quite sort of soapy, greasy almost. I haven't tried wiping it off, but I guess I will with a towel or something. The mats at the very front of the footwell are held in with these little I'm not sure what the proper name is, pop studs. So I've just screwed some new ones to the original underfelt, so I knew exactly where these should go. And the mat's still got the other part of the pop stud in it, the original ones, so they should pop on there. So we can be fairly certain that that's in the correct position. There are some holes in the front of this mat, that's the front one, and they are positioned where some pop studs in the floor mat go through. So again, that would allow us to locate it. Just shift bits from under it. In fact, this mat locates over these threaded bobbins, which is where the seat's going to clamp down to. So we're pretty certain, yeah, and that seems to line up there. So yeah, that's the floor mat and front mats clipped in place. Same on the driver's side. So there's the mat at the front, popped in place. And again, the floor mat here has gone over these bobbins. So I could put some pop studs in the floor through those holes in the mat that comes down if I wanted to. Okay, well, we'll carry on with the interior in the next video, where I'll talk about the panels that cover the framework. But that's it for this one. Hope that was useful. Bye.